Hi, this is Silverpaw Reads, and today we are continuing on with The Storm Within by Gibberish. This is Chapter 9. This will be your room. Fox opened the door at the end of the hall with a soft shwoom and gestured towards the bedroom within. Wolf eyed him with a hint of skepticism before accepting the invitation, stepping past the vulpine and through the doorway. He surveyed his surroundings as Fox followed him into the empty quarters. A meager porthole, a desk with a lamp, a bed in the far corner, and a modest amount of closet space were the only features of the plain room. It was the exact same shape and size as Fox's own living quarters, but somehow seemed significantly larger. Must be the lack of all the dirty clothes on the floor. So, what do you think? Wolf continued to study the room, moving toward the bed and feeling the texture of the blankets between his fingers. Oh, it's a step up from the medbay, that's for sure. Shortly after Fox's apology, it had been decided that Wolf's injuries had healed to the point where he could stand on his injured leg and walk where he pleased. Understandably, this development had caused considerable panic among the others, including Fox himself. However, the vulpine had quickly reprimanded himself for his paranoia. Simply put, if he were to make amends, he'd have to prove that he had trust in Wolf's judgment and grant him the same freedoms as every other individual on board. I couldn't imagine keeping you cooped up there like a prisoner. Not that cruel. After much heated debate between Fox and Falco, the team had grudgingly allowed Wolf to fill the unoccupied bedroom at the end of the hall. Crystal had removed the IV from his arm and the cast from his leg, while Falco and Slippy soaked in the cold corner of the medbay. Fox had agreed to bring him to his new room after Crystal had gotten him on his feet and went to prepare him some dinner. The lupine carried his usual expression of stoicism throughout the entire process, but Fox could tell he was secretly relieved to be out of the medbay. One could only imagine the joy he was feeling, to be free from the figurative cage to which his injuries had confined him. It made the vulpine grateful that his own physical state hadn't been so debilitatingly severe. Wolf caught a glimpse of himself in the mirror across from the bed and stood up. Holy shit, he muttered, approaching the mirror with interest. He ran his fingers across his blood-crusted fur and felt the new scars on his face. I'm a mess. That's exactly what I thought when I saw myself. Fox interjected. The shower's right down the hall if you want to wash up. And there should be some clean clothes in that closet so you can get out of that god-awful medical gown. I'll wear anything so long as it isn't this plastic atrocity. Every time the lupine moved, his squeaky gown produced a sound not unlike that of a family of mice being tortured. Fox cringed. He was well aware of this feature himself. He ditched his own gown as soon as he possibly could in order to avoid the material's horrendous squeaking sounds. Fox cleared his throat and entered the quarters. So... Wolf had buried his head in the closet across the room, rummaging through its contents to find something he could change into. What? He responded in a muffled voice. Where would you like to be dropped off? I assume at your home? Wolf stopped. There was a moment of silence before he responded, still enveloped by the closet. Where are you headed now? Well, we'll be stopping by Corneria to repair my Arwing. The lupine paused again before eventually continuing his raid. Then you can drop me off there. Fox raised an eyebrow. Isn't that a little risky for you? I'll take my chances. Fox hesitated. All right, if you say so. He clasped his hands together. Anyway, my room is across from yours, and Crystal should be here any minute with some dinner for you. He hesitated. Anything else you need? Wolf's head reappeared to look at the vulpine, who lingered in the far corner. He opened his mouth as if to speak, then hesitated, then closed it again. Nah, he finally said, shaking his head. I'm good. Fox nodded again, failing to suppress a yawn. Alright, I'm headed to bed then. We usually eat breakfast at 9. If you're awake by then, feel free to join us. Alright, Wolf said after some time, taking some clothes from the closet and tossing them onto the bed before he sat down. He began to fiddle with the blankets again. It was clear that the lupine wanted to say more, but he remained inexplicably silent. What's on his mind? Well, Fox scratched the back of his head awkwardly. Good night. He had barely even taken a step towards the door before Wolf stopped him. Wait. Before Wolf could speak, he was interrupted by a soft cough. Through the open doorway, Crystal had appeared, dinner in hand. Hey guys! Oh, hey, Crystal. She took a step into the room and then hesitated, no doubt picking up on mental clues within the room. Oh, I'm not interrupting anything, am I? Not at all, Wolf was quick to respond. Fox glanced at him, an eyebrow raised. Okay, good, Crystal replied lightly, continuing towards the desk across the bed from Wolf. I brought you some dinner. She set the bowl of jiggling porridge down onto the desk. It's the same stuff you ate earlier today. I hope you don't mind. Hey, it ain't that bad, actually. He stood up and made his way to the desk. Besides, beggars can't be choosers anyway. Crystal smirked. You think you're a beggar? He glanced at himself in the mirror again. I'm certainly not a chooser. Well, fair enough, she replied. Fox yawned again, observing the interactions between the two from the corner of the room. As curious as he was to hear what Wolf had been planning to tell him before Crystal came in, the Vulpine simply did not have the energy to stay awake any longer. He snuck out of the room as the two continued their conversation and made his way to his own room across the hall. With a gust of air, the door slid open. Fox's rapidly waning energy allowed him to enter, set his alarm clock, and flop onto the bed. The day's events had worn him both thin physically and emotionally. He was more than ready to unwind. One last thought of Wolf ran through his tired mind before he was fast asleep, ready to relax and recuperate. You want to go on the Ferris wheel? A young Fox McCloud shook his head. The sound of children delightedly laughing and squealing paired with the cheerful carnival music crunching out of a nearby speaker. Ah, but you love the Ferris wheel. Every year it's the only ride you ever want to go on. Fox crossed his arms. Ah, but I'm too grown up for the Ferris wheel now, Dad. I want to go on the Brain Bender. He pointed at the sign nearby. Roller coasters look so much more fun. Are you old enough for a roller coaster, bud? Fox nodded emphatically. James frowned, thinking hard. All right, if you say so. His expression softened. Well, you'd better finish that cotton candy before we get on. I don't want to fly it into my face halfway through the ride. Fox giggled, taking another bite out of the pink fluff. All right, fine, I'll eat it on the way. He took James's hand and led him towards the ride, weaving through the crowd and munching away at his treat. Sights and sounds came from all directions as he expertly navigated the sea of carnival goers, tossing the remains of his now eaten cotton candy into a nearby trash can on the way. Look, we're here! Fox stopped at the end of the line, his father following. The young Kit watched with wonder as the brightly colored chain of cars flew along the track, twisting and turning like a flamboyant snake slithering through the sky. Oh, no wonder the line's so long, he said to himself. It was true. The queue zigzagged countless times before the entry point. It would be at least 20 minutes before they would be able to get on. This information didn't deter Fox. If anything, it merely increased his excitement. He was finally going to go on a big kid ride. He was practically bouncing up and down at this point. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go! He was about to step into line when James gently pulled on his hand. Wait. Fox froze in place, before turning back around, curious to know what had made his father stop him. What is it, Dad? An alarm clock rang out. Fox opened his eyes slowly, still enveloped by the events of his dream. He paused for a moment before dragging himself out of a blanket cocoon and turning the alarm off, glad to return to reality. He stretched his back carefully and yawned before making his way back to the bed, sitting on the edge of it. Despite falling victim to the unpleasant dream again, He felt remarkably relaxed and refreshed. His injuries no longer plagued him with their dull aching. In fact, he felt fantastic. The Vulpine took another look at the alarm clock on the desk. 9:07, it read. He blinked in surprise. He hoped he'd be up before 9 to meet the others at breakfast, but he must have set the alarm incorrectly in his drowsiness last night. Not even bothering to change out of his pajamas, he hopped off the bed and hurried out of the bedroom, anxious about leaving Wolf with the others. What failed to greet him in the dining hall was a table full of tense Star Fox members. They ate their food without a word, frequently stealing glimpses at the newcomer. Wolf sat in the far corner, far from the others, and eyed his breakfast with no discernible expression. He was the first to look and see Fox in the doorway, their eyes meeting for a moment before he eventually returned his focus to the food in front of him. Fox did a double take at the sight of this newly washed guest. The dried blood across his entire body was all gone, and in its place stood a healthy coat of gray and white fur. In place of the abominable medical gown was now a black tank top and sweatpants. All things considered, the Vulpine was taken aback by how much Wolf's appearance had improved since they'd seen each other last. "Oh, hey, Fox." Slippy had finally seen Fox and broken the silence, everyone else following in turn. Falco grunted flatly. Peppy waved, and Crystal smiled gently before continuing to eat the food in front of her. It was out of the ordinary for his team to be so quiet, but he could hardly blame them. It was the first time many of them had truly interacted with their new guest. "Hey, guys," Fox replied awkwardly, daring to take the seat next to Wolf. It was the least he could do after what had gone down the day before. However, he regretted the decision as soon as he felt the entire table watching him. He pretended not to notice, eating his food in silence like the others. After a moment, he dared a glance at Wolf and his unscathed tray of food. "You're not hungry?" Fox asked. Not a single bite of Wolf's breakfast was missing. "Nah." The lupine looked around at the unrelenting stares before quickly resuming his own staring contest with his tray. "So, how's everybody going?" the Vulpine asked cheerfully, trying to lighten the mood a little. All he got was a from Slippy, another grunt from Falco. Fox sighed. His team was clearly uncomfortable around Wolf, out of hatred and probably fear. To be fair, their reaction was perfectly understandable. Fox was trapped on the same ship as his most formidable foe, who was now able to venture where he pleased. It would certainly be a convenient chance for a lethal accident to occur. "We're on our way to Corneria," Fox said, trying more to try and create conversation. "It'll be nice to get back home, won't it?" There was a short silence. "How long until we get there?" Wolf asked bluntly. Falco was quick to respond. "Why do you need to know?" "No more than a day or two," Fox sent the bird a sharp warning look before continuing. "How long has it been since you were last there?" "A while." Wolf cleared his throat. "Not since the Lilat Wars. It ain't a popular destination." For obvious reasons. Seeing that this conversation would lead to more tension, Fox tried to change the subject. "How do you like the ship?" Wolf was clearly not in the mood for small talk, but he made an effort to respond nonetheless. "It's huge." Fox nodded in agreement before Wolf continued. "Isn't it weird to see your teammates so often, though?" Everyone at the table eyed him questioningly. "I've never been in a mobile HQ like this," he explained. It dawned on Fox that Wolf's team must have had to travel across the system in their separate Wolfins. Another pang of guilt hit him. No matter what he talked about, it felt like he ended up bragging about his privilege. "Why do you keep screwing this up, Fox?" "Well, it sure would take some getting used to." "Yeah." Another silence ensued as the team ate their food. Falco's disdain for Wolf was almost tangible. "Do something. Say something." It was clear that Fox needed to keep the two away from each other as long as they could to avoid conflict. "Anything." The Vulpine took a breath, forming the words countless times in his head before he spoke. "Tell you what, how about I take you for a tour of the ship?" Wolf turned to Fox, an eyebrow raised. The Vulpine did his best to maintain a casual expression as he watched his guest's skeptical eye. He desperately wanted to prove Wolf that he was not, in fact, a selfish asshole. The easiest way to do that was to make him feel at home on the short time that he'd be staying aboard. After a moment, perhaps a bit too long, Fox pulled his eyes away, fearing he'd made a terrible mistake. However, Wolf responded shortly thereafter. "Sure, why not?" Fox felt himself exhale a deep breath he wasn't aware that he was holding. He was, however, aware of everyone's eyes upon him again. I wish they'd stop doing that for once. The two got up to leave when Falco stopped them. "Wait, Fox, before you go, could you, take a look at my comm? It's been acting up." Fox was about to reply that he could be of no help, that Slippy would be more suited to such a job, when he noticed Falco's, "I need to talk to you" look. Okay. Falco glanced at Wolf and added, "Alone." "Yeah, Wolf, just wait here, I'll be back in just one moment." Fox followed Falco as the two exited the room and made their way towards the living quarters. "What's up?" Fox asked, but he knew the answer before Falco even opened his mouth. "What's up with you?" Falco stepped in the middle of the hallway and turned around. "Did you not get the memo? Wolf's our enemy. As long as he's on the ship, he's a guest. Being hospitable is the least we can do." "The least we can do? We already saved his life. Was that not enough?" Fox was at a momentary loss for words. Look, I've been a real dick to him since he's been on board." "So? That's all more reason to keep him on lockdown. Who's to say he won't kill you when he has the perfect opportunity?" "Okay," Fox hissed. "I get it, alright? You and Slippy hate him, and he ain't so fine to you guys either. You made your damn point." Fox couldn't explain, and Falco wouldn't understand. Feeling anger rising up within him, he tried his best to calm himself as he continued. "But you know what? He's not just some heartless criminal. He only lives the way he does because it's the only way that you can be as a fugitive, like him." Falco glared as Fox continued his reprimands. "It doesn't benefit anyone when you guys stare at him like that. He's like he's some sort of monster. If you're not going to help him feel welcome, then I guess I'm going to have to do it alone." Fox swiftly turned and began to leave the way he came. Always wanting the last word, Falco replied to his back, "You're out of your damn mind, Fox." But the Vulpine was already out the door. When Fox returned to the dining hall, everyone had left except for Wolf, who was casually leaning against the doorway. Upon the sight of the Vulpine, he pushed himself off the metal, almost apologetically. When he wasn't slouched over, he was actually surprisingly tall. Quite a bit taller than Fox, actually. "I figure I should show you the main points of interest, like I said. It's a pretty big ship, so I don't want you getting lost." Wolf responded coolly, "Don't worry. I'm sure I won't get lost for long, not with everybody watching my every move." "It's awful, isn't it?" Wolf reluctantly smirked at Fox's comment, no doubt remembering the rant from the day before. They may have had their differences, but at least they could share a common disdain for the spotlight. Fox beckoned to him from the doorway. "Let's go." The Vulpine realized that this was the first time he had given a tour of the ship since Crystal had joined the team. As Fox followed him through the narrow halls, he felt a strange feeling that he couldn't quite identify. Excitement, maybe? No. After much thought, he decided he was ultimately just looking forward to finally proving that he wasn't as rude as Wolf thought he was. The two rounded a corner in the hallway, then slowed down. "Here are the living quarters," he motioned to his room, the door left open in his haste earlier, and then to Wolf's room. "As you are already aware, right, he coughed awkwardly. "Oh god, off to a great start. Fantastic work, me." Down the hall, he saw a glimpse of Falco in his room before the bird shut his door. Eager to avoid any more tense interactions, the Vulpine turned around and left the way he came, motioning for the Lupine to follow. Fox showed Wolf a number of other boring rooms before the two found themselves before a set of stairs. "This leads to the bridge." Wolf followed him up the steps to discover the wide, hexagonal room with its windows and a wide arc. Peppy was seated in his tall chair at the front of the room, calmly pushing buttons in an all-too-familiar fashion. "Hey, Peppy." The old rabbit briefly eyed the two before resuming to work. Hey, Fox. What are you up to? The Vulpine approached the control panel curiously. Just prepping the ship for our stop on Canaria. Right, I was gonna ask you, how long until we get there? Not long, pretty close now. He flipped another switch and studied the readout of the display. About 3 hours or so. Fox's eyes widened. What? 3 hours? Maybe 2 if we're lucky. We just passed through the Sargasso region. Fox felt his stomach drop. His time with Wolf would be severely shortened. Doesn't it usually take at least 3 full days? Fox, it's been 3 days, Peppy explained. You were out cold for almost an entire day yourself. The Vulpine raised his eyebrows, the realization dawning on him as the rabbit continued. Plus, we typically complete missions in neighboring regions along the way to any destination, but with your ship needing dire repairs, he glanced at Wolf momentarily, we must reach Corneria as soon as possible, so we've flown a more direct flight path than usual. Fox's ears dropped a bit after hearing of this unexpected development. He wondered what General Pepper would think of their surprise rescue mission. Unless... Peppy, you didn't tell General Pepper about this, right? Fox asked. If the General knew that the galaxy's most wanted criminal was on the Great Fox, who knows how he would react? About Wolf? Peppy eyed him for a moment. Well, no. Fox sighed in relief. I figure I'd let you do the honors, considering it was ultimately your choice to keep him on board in the first place. And followed his sigh with a gulp. Oh, great, now Wolf knows I was lying yesterday. He glanced towards Wolf, who was sending him a look as to respond with, Oh, don't look so surprised. You couldn't have fooled me. But Fox, Peppy continued, you need to inform the General soon. He really ought to know. Fox hesitated for a moment, then nodded soberly. General Pepper would find out in no more than 3 hours anyways, far too soon for Fox's tastes. But why was he bothered by this? After all, he would finally be rid of the burden dealing of this and his rival. Everything could return back to normal. Is that what I want, though? He pondered the question as Wolf made his way to the stairs, motioning the Vulpine to follow. Should things really go back to the way they were before? McLeod! Wolf's voice shook him out of his thoughts. Snap out of it. Let's go. The two descended the stairs and eventually made their way to the hangar. What awaited them there was a row of R-wings beneath a dim strip of light across the ceiling. Wolf scoffed with a hint of jealousy. Well, you may have R-wings, but at least our base's hangar has decent lighting. And now that hangar has an extra space for a... Fox immediately shut himself up when Wolf spun around aggressively. For a what? For a new ship? Nothing. Wolf studied him for another moment, eyes narrowed. That's right, he growled. Oh, way to screw it up again, Fox. If the Vulpine didn't check himself, this tour would only result in him offending Wolf further. Fox began to stammer in preparation of an apology, but he was interrupted by the Lupine, whose attention had caught him by something else. Who flies that one? He cocked his head towards the R-wing on the far end of the hangar. Oh, that one's mine. With everything else going on recently, Fox had almost forgotten how badly his precious ship had been damaged. But seeing it in its mangled state now caused him to feel a strange mixture of guilt and pity. Wolf tried to conceal his wonder as he approached the vehicle, unfazed by the shattered windshield and the missing wing. So, this is it then? The ship that shot me out of the sky? He placed his palm against the only patch of alloy that had kept its luster, a reflective spot next to the burn mark Wolf himself has caused many years ago. Through the reflection, Fox could see a glimpse of childlike wonder shining on the Lupine's face, shadowed by a deep and heavy grief. Suddenly, he regained his composure, tearing his hand away from the metal as if it were deceptively hot. He tried to play it off casually, perhaps embarrassed by his unexpected lapse in restraint, and strolled away with his hands in his pockets of his sweatpants. Looks like garbage. Fox smirked. Garbage or not, it saved my life. Wolf took another look at the strap of the wing Fox had crafted on the surface. Is that from my ship? Oh. Fox had nearly forgotten about the wooden plank and metal sheet still nailed to the wing stub on the right side. Yeah. The Lupine froze. How the hell did you get that? When Falco and I went down to the surface to retrieve you, my ship couldn't get back to the Great Fox because my wing had been shut off. He studied the makeshift wing as he continued. I noticed your ship's wing had fallen off nearby, and it was about the same shape as mine, the real thing, so... How'd you nail it to your ship? Fox shrugged. I just heated the alloy with my blaster, then hammered the nails with the other side of the gun. Wolf stared at him, eyes wide in disbelief. What? Fox found himself strangely uncomfortable with meeting his stare in return. Nothing. Wolf turned towards the ship again. That's just... impressive, that's all. Having expected a snarky remark, Fox was taken by surprise. Oh, I think that's the first time you've ever complimented me. Wolf didn't even look at the vulpine this time, instead focusing intently on the shattered windshield. Don't get used to it. He stepped away from the wrecked ship, hands in his pockets again. You know what? Never in my life did I think I'd ever get to see your ship up close, McCloud. Or touch it, for that matter, Fox replied. Wolf raised an eyebrow as the vulpine continued. My Arwing, I mean, it's not every day you get to, see your rivals, I know what you meant. Stop babbling, Wolf grinned, no doubt taking delight in Fox's awkward rambling, before quickly changing the subject. What time is it anyways? I'm hungry. Already? Fox smoothed his fur awkwardly as he checked his watch. 11:09. They had about an hour and a half until they landed on Corneria. I guess we got time to eat lunch before we drop you off. Then let's go. I'm starving. Alright, that is the end of Chapter 9. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said in the beginning, remember to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and give me a comment telling me if you liked or disliked the story or whatever else you want to say in the comments. Thanks again for watching. You have a good one. Bye-bye.